Yes, and welcome to Vasily's Nightmare, folks. I said to you the other day I'm going to clean up this area, and I'm going to do this one here for an example, and then later on smash out the entire garden bed. We've got 5-6 citrus trees in here that have been covered over with catnip, and obviously a lot of different grasses growing in here, and there's some irises in there somewhere. And I did find, as I started brush cutting, a little bit of soil over here. Look at this mound here. Now this whole area is meant to be flat, but this mound doesn't appear on its own for no reason. It's come out because in here somewhere there's a bloody hole from the rabbits. They started digging in here to burrow themselves. I'm not sure if they're in there or not, or if they've succeeded. I'll tackle that later on. But in reference to these trees, well, I said I'm going to clean them up and get the roots out of these catnips. As you can see, it's growing right next to it. And this thing's as tough as nails. It's already pushing on new growth. Have a look at this. They just multiply like there's no tomorrow. That's all new growth coming up from the catnip. So yeah, I'm cutting it down at the beginning of winter. I'm not too fussed about it, even if it doesn't come up again. In winter, that is. It'll come up in spring, that's for sure. But knowing this stuff that I've known it for a few years now, no season affects it really. You get a little bit of frostbite on it and it'll just bounce right back. Now I'm pulling it out because it's growing into the roots of the citrus tree. See how fibrous this is? And I don't want it to tangle itself up into it too much, because it just takes all the nutrients away from the citrus tree and it competes too much. So we're going to have to do this on a regular basis, because as we pull it up, you'll find more spreading everywhere. That's mycelium there developing, composting down all the mulch on the surface, which is beautiful. So it's quite active. What we have here is competition in the root zone. So let me come on this side. What you see going on here, folks, is going to be what we're going to do with our fruit tree workshops, hands-on. I'm not expecting you guys to do this sort of stuff, but a little bit of digging, you're going to get involved, and inspecting of the soil and understanding what's going on. The first 3 are pretty much booked out. We've launched another one, that's the 1st of July. So if you want to come down and do a workshop with me, hands-on, it's going to be for 2 or 3 hours. We're going to get into from the cradle to the grave, basically from the soil all the way to planting, pruning, maintenance and care and fertilising. Go on our website, vasilysgarden.com, and book your seat before it sells out. And we're going to talk about different shapes as well, so spallies and all things like that. Now, is this going to affect the roots, what I'm doing here? Am I damaging the roots from the citrus tree? If I am, it's going to be absolutely nothing compared to what this can do, because this stuff here is like carpet. And it's going to grow all the way around and take all the wonderful nutrients away. We need to get rid of all this stuff. So that's gone. Here, they're the roots from the citrus tree there. They're quite shallow and they're quite fibrous as well. They're big feeder roots, important to have because the tree has more here. It's all here. This will all grow back in. So first things first, and look, it's not just catnip. It can be any bloody plant that you have underplanted on your citrus tree. If your tree has already grown and is established and you've got underplanting going on and it's doing really well above, by all means continue with the underplanting and the companion planting. But I try to give this a go, because I did dig it out earlier on, meaning when I first planted these trees, not to allow the catnip to crawl into it, but it did on its own accord, and it hasn't taken off yet, so the trees need a lot more time. I don't want these to grow any further because they're faster growing than the citrus trees are. So a bit of maintenance to stop these little plants getting any closer to the citrus tree, to give the tree a chance to establish a stronger root zone and take control of what belongs down there for the tree. Look at it, it's just like carpet. And I'm hitting rock too. Oh, look at this beauty. Did I cut it in half? Nah, this is a short fat one, that's all it is. It'll go back in here somewhere. So dig out all this and then we're going to compost it. And I reckon about 60 centimetres minimum is what you want to set back, have a setback on with the underplanting. So 60 centimetre radius, so it's about 1 metre and a bit all the way around, clear of any other underlying roots or competitive roots. And that way you're giving your tree a better chance to set its roots out. This is really a good soil. A good mix here. You know, it's decomposing. There's a bit of bark in here, and I dare say some of the catnip's going to kick on again, but nevertheless we just keep monitoring it and maintaining it as best we can. So next, I'm using our planting mix on top, but before I do that, I've got to get, can you move? Yeah, I've got to just go here. Thank you. That's it. We're going to get some black grit and superfood. So a small handful, well in my case it's a big handful of black grit. And this is our new superfood, folks. Look at it. Look at the texture. It's more granitic. It spreads a lot easier, and it's nowhere near as potent in the smell as the previous batch used to be. A fantastic product to get in your garden. Soon to be released. Great exciting news, and I'll share that with you in the due course. But for now, let's get back to this. So a bag of planting mix. It has everything in it. I like tearing the bags. I don't like cutting the Ziploc. And we're just gonna top it up all the way around like this. So this has got compost, our superfood. I'd always like topping it up with a bit more, like this. Just spread it out evenly. You don't want too much close to the trunk. What's that? That's just brush cutting, like that. And what we spoke about yesterday, the importance of mulching. And it's not just for citrus, it's for all types of plants, folks. Every plant in every garden needs to get some sort of mulch, some more than others, depending on the variety. I've got some general straw here, got huge bales of, and it's been decomposing for a while. Have a look at this. This is all breaking down. See the moisture in it? This is going to start breaking down real quick. We've used this as the base in our raised beds. I haven't used it as a mulch on top, but I've used it mainly as a base. But in the case of the citrus, I'm going to put it on in these sheets like that, these sort of thick sheets. I'm not going to loosen it up as I do in the veggie garden bed. I'm just going to lay it down nice and thick all the way around, away from the trunk, because it's not about hydrating the trunk. It's about protecting the soil and populating the microbiota in the soil. I'd love to put a big bale around here like a good friend of mine has, a huge round bale here, so I can protect it from the winds, because that's another thing about citrus, they don't like the high winds. So if you can shield them from the high winds, great. But in this case, I'm doing one of the two or two of the three issues that this tree's had. Nice and thick. You can see I'm leaving the trunk a little bit exposed there. All right, now I'm expecting this mulch, as we saw in the other pea straw that we had, or bean straw, to start breaking down. I'm expecting to see worms coming in here. I see microbiota kicking in, the fungi, as you saw the mycelium already. And then that all to transfer back down into the soil. Watering, well, we're going to soak the living daylights out of this, especially in the middle, to hydrate it really well. And then once we got the moisture in the bottom, it should stay there. It really should stay there, as you saw with the other mulch. So that's the art of mulching, folks. One down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go, and this entire bed to clean up. Check out our website, vasilisgarden.com. And book your workshop if you want to come and join me and do some hands-on experience on fruit tree pruning and shaping and all things like that, and feeding and all this sort of stuff. And we can talk all things about gardening as well. It's at vasilisgarden.com. Everything you need every day discounted. End of financial year sale is on as well. Take advantage of that while you can. From me, Vasili, Maresi. If you'd like to see the complete makeover of this garden bed and citrus trees, stay tuned, because I'll be uploading a time-lapse video of the full transformation.